What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Barbecue. What I'll be making in this video is we're going to be making some salmon croquettes, salmon patties, salmon cakes, whatever you call them, just call them good. I was inspired to make this recipe by a website by the name of castironketo.net. Now, the recipe that they originally came up with was for crab cakes, and I figured it would be a nice adaptation to turn this into a salmon recipe. So that's what we're going to do. It's a very simple recipe. I did make a few adjustments to their ingredients, and we'll discuss those when we get into these ingredients. So before we get into these ingredients, I want to let you know that I will be having the original recipe in the description below, along with any changes that I made. Their recipe was based on 8 ounces of meat. I'm going to be going with about 1.5 pounds of salmon. So my recipe that I'm using right here is going to be adjusted for that. But like I said, the original recipe is going to be in the description below. So this is our 1.5 pounds of salmon, and this is going to be for my dogs right here. In their recipe, they used onions. I'm using some chopped shallots. In their recipe, they used red peppers, which I have here. And I'm also adding some orange peppers as well. We have our egg, mayonnaise, butter, pepper, and they used the regular Old Bay seasoning. I'm going to be using an Old Bay rub. It's just a little bit different than the Old Bay seasoning. And we're going to be binding it with some almond flour. Those are all the ingredients you're really going to need for this. I will be making homemade tartar sauce, and I'll have a video on that as well. As a matter of fact, I'll put a link to that video in the iCard above and description below of this video, as it's going to be a totally separate video. Those are our ingredients. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cook this salmon until it's done. I don't want to overcook it, so we're going to be cooking it to about just under full done, and I'm not going to season it before we cook it. It's going to go in the oven right now for probably 15 minutes at 350 degrees. Now, one of the changes I'm going to make to this recipe that they didn't do in theirs is I am going to saute our shallots and our peppers before we make our crab cakes, and really that's just to make it a little bit easier for those crab cakes to kind of hold together without any of those vegetables poking through. So we're just going to cook them down until they just become just a little bit softened. So we've let these vegetables cook for about 3 minutes, and if I didn't mention it earlier, I am cooking this in about 1.5 tablespoons of butter. Now that they're softened, we're just going to set them aside and let them cool off. Our salmon should be cooked in about another 10 minutes. And once that's done getting cooked, I'm going to let that salmon cool down as well, just to make it easier to handle. So our salmon's had a chance to cook. It's cooled down. And while I was waiting for it to cool down, I went out and checked the mail. And guess what showed up in the mail? I got some extra hot pepper blend from another YouTube channel by the name of Daddy Dutch Barbecue. I'm going to leave a link to his channel in the iCard above and description below. If you're not subscribed to him, run over to his channel and show him some love. Now, he said this is extra hot. I'm not sure about that. I'm not going to taste it. I am going to add some of this to this recipe just to kind of spice it up a little bit. Anyway, Kent, I'd like to thank you for sending this to me. Now, really, to complete this, all that we need to do is add all of our ingredients. So I already have my salmon in the bowl. Go ahead and throw these eggs in, our vegetables, our mayonnaise, almond flour, pepper, and I'm going to eyeball these seasonings. This is our Old Bay. And now some of this extra hot pepper blend. Kent, I don't... Okay. It is hot. From what I can smell right now, I'm not sure if it has anything else in it, but I'm getting a dried habanero smell out of this. I'm going to recover from adding these peppers in here, and we'll get mixing it up. So I can attest to you that this is some hot stuff here. I'm telling you, I'm sniffling and everything right now, just smelling it. So I know this is going to bring some heat. Now all I'm doing now is I'm mixing it up, trying to incorporate everything in together. And once I have it mixed in completely, I'm going to form my patties and set them on some wax paper or something that it's not going to stick to. Now, as far as forming these patties go, you can make them as big as small as you want. I'm going to freehand these, and I'm just going for something a little bit on the smaller side. So about that big right there. So these are good to go. Looks like I have a little bit left over. We'll get to these later. In the meantime, I'm going to get my skillet heated up, get some butter melted, then we'll get cooking these off. So I have some butter that's melted in a skillet. My skillet's on about medium high, and I have a generous amount of butter in here. Really all that we need to do is cook these until they are browned on both sides. And I'm just going to do 4 of these for now. My wife is out Christmas shopping right now. Hopefully not spending a bunch of money. And my skillet is a little wobbly, so I'm gonna do that. We're gonna cook these until we get golden brown. So these have been cooking for about 2.5 minutes. I just want to take a look and see what they're looking like. Oh, that looks good to me. Perfect. Another 2.5 minutes on this side, and it should be a wrap. So these have cooked an additional 2.5 minutes on the other side. I'm setting them on a plate with a napkin just so some of that butter will drain off. I'm gonna plate up, get my big head boy up here, and we'll do a taste test. And he doesn't know I added all that hot pepper to it, so we'll see if what he says in the taste test. So it is a wrap. It's time for me and Hetty Van Halen to get in here and get in on this taste test. As you can see, that head is so big it doesn't even fit all the way in the screen. But anyway, just get you one of those little patties. You know, get you a little lemon slice. Squeeze a little bit on there. Okay. Just get you some tartar sauce. Like I said, tartar sauce recipe is going to be in the iCard above in the description below. Alright, that's enough. Let's go. Taste it and let me know what you think.
No, Duke. That fish is still nice and tender. It's got an outside crisp to it. It's got some heat to it.
How much heat does it have to it?
About the good no hippie barbecue kind, that not kind you notice. And the lemon gives it that nice bitterness, and that tartar sauce is perfect.
Well, I had a guy from a YouTube channel called Daddy Dutch Barbecue send me that.
It's good.
Those hot peppers. Anyway, Kent, nice little heat on this. Not overpowering. I was a little bit worried when I was adding it earlier. Before I take another bite, I do want to thank you guys for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. I appreciate it. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.
Yeah, those peppers smell nice.